Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Got my old friend here, Jay. What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
Steven, what's good, my man? Thank you for having me on, man. It's been a while. We haven't been able to chop it up a bit. I see all the OU sucks are in here. I understand. I appreciate that y'all are actually saying it. That's what rivalries are for. If you didn't do it, I'd be pissed off at you.
Right. It's that's the nature of what we do. That's why we're having a Red River check-in tonight. Make sure you
Yep.
guys hit that like button, subscribe as you come into the chat. You know what to do. Another thing here, guys, we are aiming to get to 15,000 subscribers by August 30th, right? When we play
Let's
Ohio
go.
State. So help a brother out. It's free to show love. Got like I think 30% of you guys that watch us on a regular basis that are not subscribed. So hit the subscribe button, help us out. Jay is on here from Unfair Sports, from Locked On Sooners, from the SEC Connect, from Bleacher Report.
We everywhere, dog.
We
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 in
are
this.
outside, right? Like
We are outside, my boy. We
um
outside.
it's cool to be on here with you, like out, on FP, just talking ball like we do here. So I'm glad you're able to come on and be this week's guest. A lot of people here. Before we get into Texas OU, trust me, we will have a good, healthy conversation about that. As y'all can see, I'm rocking my Spurs jersey. We just finished watching the NBA draft lottery. Jay, this corrupt ass league, man. Adam Silver, you done it. You've done it again. This corrupt ass
Was it a
league,
frozen
man.
envelope?
Oh my goodness. Cooper Flag, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, the Dallas Mavericks got the number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft. The San Antonio Spurs got the second pick. So now we have all the ammunition in the world to go and get one Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers get the third pick. I mean, so all the teams that were tanking last year, Utah, Washington, everybody just dropped out, right? So, what an exciting time to be alive if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, if you're a Mavericks fan, you know, after everything that's happened with Nico and Luka Doncic to be rewarded with the number one pick is certainly interesting and a storyline we'll hear about.
I mean, I gotta be that guy. Didn't he kind of like rigging for y'all to get Wimby?
I am not denying that this league is corrupt.
Oh, okay, okay.
It
Because the
fell in my
funny thing
favor.
about it, as I say that is that everybody's complaint is that the league is rigged for like for the big program, for the big
Yeah,
markets.
the big markets. Yeah.
No, San Antonio getting number one and getting Wimby tells you that no, but they do try to match up market. The unfortunate thing, though, I'm gonna say this. Don't y'all lose your mind in this, but I'm gonna say this. I know the Utah Jazz are pissed. This was the perfect dude for them. Perfect. This was the second coming to Gordon Hayward. They did them dirty. They did
They
them
didn't even
dirty.
make it to commercial break. Nasty
No,
work. Nasty work.
nasty, nasty, my boy. They for real. Wow. They let Nico finagle them. Now I'll say this too. Nico was wrong, but he had a point. And that point was proven here in the playoffs. Luka looked like he was out of shape. Looked like he wasn't he wasn't looking like he was supposed to be any good.
Hey man, I just wanted to start off there because it's just such a big story as we're starting this live, and man, craziness. So
Craziness.
let me get into, yeah, I am keeping those Maverick season tickets. We cousin and I had a long talk about it. We adjusted the package, I will say, but we still got the tickets. Now, transitioning over to let's keep the main thing. Texas and OU. Josh Pate came out with his top 20 list, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later because I think it's caused a lot of scuttlebutt in the college football community, rightfully so. Jay, on your show on Unfair and Locked On Sooners, you've been talking about tis the season of list and
It
whatnot,
is.
and and we certainly been getting some list. But I just want to take an objective look at OU, and I think you're the best person to talk to about that and really have an honest conversation. Both of our teams now being in our second season in the SEC.
Yep.
One of the exercises I did last week with our last week's guest, which was our friends from Texas Football Talk, the Lockerbie brothers, was actually breaking down the Texas schedule. And I thought it was interesting as I broke it down over 4 quarters. It's like I actually have our Ohio State game as just 1 quarter in itself, because we essentially played 3 tune-up games right after that, all home games, like San Jose State, San Houston, those types, right? And then we get into that third slate, which is the third quarter, which is away games. Yep. Even OU, we're in Dallas, but we have all these other games that are on the road, right? Mm-hmm. And then our November slate is essentially back in rivalry. So Georgia, Arkansas, A&M is how we finish the season in November. Looking at your guys' roster, which you're looking to improve coming off a 6-7 season in your first year in the SEC. Hey, I'm just the record's the record.
No, I'm not saying anything. No, hey, I'm sighing because it's the yeah. Look, man.
How are you looking at your squad against your schedule?
So the way that you stated it, good way to look at it, putting it in like quarters, right? Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. I did ours is technically in thirds, the way we were taken care of. So first, let's talk Texas. I want to point this one thing out. Yes, you all got a much easier slate similar to last year, as most in the SEC. They also placed games in some very disrespectful spots on y'all schedule. For example, you got 3 overly physical games in a row. Florida, us, Kentucky. Put it this way. You make it through the first 2, Kentucky might pull an upset while you're on the road. Why? Because that's 3 games where you know people are going to beat the crap out of you. Florida's known for it. Regardless of how good or bad they are, they're known for beating up on you.
Be very physical.
It's us. It's a rivalry, so we're always physical. And then Kentucky always shows up out of nowhere and hits you with a hammer while you're in the middle of a fight. They're the asshole that grabs the brick that hits you while you fight somebody else. Like, dude, where you go? You're not even in the fight. I got bored. My bad. I just kind of wanted to. I thought it was my turn. And it's like, no, dog, we got you next week. But the good thing is Mississippi State's right behind them, so I don't know what you call is doing. But then you got the Georgia, but then you end with Arkansas and A&M at the crib. Those 3, I can see Q4 being like, we got to deal with this crap again. Like, what are we doing? I feel like the SEC's like, well, we kind of gave them a better draw, but we've got to find ways to inject disrespect. And I felt like that's disrespect. So when we look at Oklahoma's schedule, on the flip, similar to last year, we had a competent offense. We win 3 of those games that we shouldn't have lost. Because we had it basically by the defense, and then the defense, of course, at a certain point, you can't expect the defense to win a game for you through 3.5 quarters 100% of the time. That fourth quarter, at some points, that late fourth quarter is going to kick your butt. Missouri is a great example. 2 minutes left, and everything fell apart, mainly because our offense couldn't figure out how to push the ball up the field. Ole Miss, we had them at the half, then we had 2 more injuries, and you're like, well, screw it. But the way this schedule is set, when I look at the trimesters here, the Michigan game is going to be intriguing. Luckily, it's at the crib. So we got ourselves a situation where it's like, okay, we got a warm-up game, and we got Michigan at the crib. Sharon Moore thinks he's going to coach that game. He thinks it. The NCAA might not let it. Because I get that he wanted to do the suspension, the 2 games after us, the self-imposed one. But if we all recall this, when Harbaugh did the exact same thing, they initiated this in August. The NCAA finished their investigation mid-season. They suspended him for the rest of the year. So whatever number you think you're going to get, that bad boy going to increase. So I'm expecting NCAA to tell him the first 4 games of the season, he's out. That's my anticipation, which is going to hurt them big time. Uh-oh, did I lose Steven? Is it just me? It's just me. We'll keep the recording going. This is now Sooner. Yeah, all right, he's back. I thought we lost you, my brother. You good?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I'm having some
Technicals. It's all right. It happens to the best of us. But
issues, but keep going.
we get a pseudo cupcake or an actual bye week before some of our biggest games. So we play Illinois State to chill out. That's warm-up game for preseason. Week 2, Michigan. Again, I understand you, Sooner Cowboy. You just understand. Sharon Moore's probably not going to coach that game. We play Temple, then Auburn. We get a week off. We play Kent State, then Texas. About as perfect as you can get. Now, granted, after that, from Texas to South Carolina, which we know is super physical, Ole Miss, we don't know who they are, but then traveling to Tennessee, we don't have any back-to-back road games this year. Like week to week. We got back-to-backs, which is Tennessee and then Alabama, but there's a bye week in the middle.
But there's a bye.
That helps. It helps a lot in this physical conference. Then you end the season with Missouri LSU at the crib. The schedule's favorable. Teams aren't favorable, but the layout and format is favorable. Start looking at some of the other teams at their schedules before they play us. And a lot of them got people that they don't want to play before they play against us. Like y'all got Florida on the road in Gainesville. Humidity, stank, angst, possibly some smelling salts out there in Florida. It ain't what you wanted. Right?
No.
You don't want that. No. Right before you go to Dallas. So you don't get to spend that much time at the crib. Then you leave that game and go right to Kentucky. That's going to be it's like I said, it's angst and just stank. When I looked at was it Tennessee? Before we come to the crib, they travel to Kentucky as well. And Alabama in back-to-back weeks. That's not going to be something they're going to like because it's going to be brutal. South Carolina has LSU right before us. And then Bama comes to their crib the week afterwards. Sucks.
So what I guess my question is this, right? Like that stretch after Texas when you play at South Carolina who really beat you up, right? Like last year.
They got us very early with an incompetent offense.
I mean, because honestly, coming into the Texas game, the Michigan game is going to tell us a lot. I expect you guys to be better than Auburn at that point. I mean, you should be very familiar with your boy Jackson Arnold. There should be no issues there. I know Hugh Freeze is he's been up in the ante with the talent and everything, right? And I'm not saying it's not going to be a good football game, but I would expect OU to win that game before bye week, going into a bye week, and then you have Kent State. So you really got 2 weeks to prepare. Yeah, you have a big chunk there to prepare for us, right? Yep. My question is, what will we learn about OU from October 11th through that bye before y'all go to Alabama? I think that's the chunk of the season where we're going to learn whether or not Brett Venables is the guy for y'all. Like all the questions that we have. What say you about that?
No, I agree with you. I've said that on numerous shows as I've talked about it. It's the middle trimester of the season for us is the most critical because it's also the most games in a row. Like we got 4 games, a break, 5 games, break, 3. So that 5-game stretch is going to tell us just about any and everything of what this team's going to be made of. And knock on wood, if we're healthy, it should be a hell of a lot better than last year. You got to think about it. Last year, we won 6 games. It was literally because of the defense. Literally. Kip 6 wins the Auburn game. I mean, our defense beat up on Alabama to win that game. And then the rest of them is like, how the defense literally won every game this season. We should have beat Missouri. We had a fumble recovery with 2 minutes left in the game.
Oh, y'all smoked the Missouri game. Y'all smoked. Y'all literally, that I think that was the night y'all decided. I think that was the night everybody on y'all side was done with Jackson. Night.
Yeah.
That was the end of the relationship. It felt like
that defense from Missouri wasn't he should have carved them. Ours did everything you needed for him to do. I mean, all you had to do was not pretend to see ghost, and there was no ghost.
Y'all didn't even play Brady Cook either. You lost to
fucking Drew Pine, man.
You lost to
Excuse
Drew
my
Pine.
French, my people.
That was
my apologies.
Hey,
YouTube,
you know what? Let it out, my brother. Let it out.
Don't penalize my boy, YouTube.
I would. You know what? I'll take the hit for you, brother. Because if my team lost like that to Drew Pine, I would be upset.
I'm emotionally distraught about that, dog. I
beside
still
myself as well.
Have nightmares about that. I watched that Billy Bowman play. He hit Luther Burden. He gets the fumble recovery, and then we got that ish. But anyway,
like Drew Pine completed like 4 passes in that game and still won. That's crazy.
Anyway.
Hey, it's a new season. It's year 2. I want to give a shout out to Bryson Bass. Thank you for the super chat. Much
Bryson,
love.
boy.
Thank you so much. No. Jay and I. So one conversation I want to bring up that you and I actually, and we had this conversation in person when we met up in Alabama recently.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of. So last year, you guys hung your hat on the defense. I'm gonna start with Brett Venables and his strength, right? So my understanding is he's calling the defense this year. This is his baby. So Texas fans, just as much as the offense is Sark's baby, OU's defense is Brett Venables' baby, right? And so with that being said, how are you guys? I'm hearing so many OU fans say this defense this year's going to be even better. And I'm like, but y'all were like Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman, like these core foundational Oklahoma Sooners that were key card-carrying members of that same defense that you uplifted.
Mm-hmm.
How's the defense gonna be even better in 2025 before we even get to the offense and Ben Arbuckle and John Matera and all that?
Okay, so it's rather easy, and I know that you would understand and appreciate this. Our defense on paper will be better. Is it actually better? Debatable. But this is why. If your defense can go out there and finish top 10 in efficiency with the 110 ranked offense, it's obvious your defense did all the work. You move that up to top 50 offense, the defense does less work. All it's got to do is continue to close and be healthy. I think the Kendall Daniels pickup, having a giant dude at middle linebacker that can be moved around to safety as well because he's fast enough for it. Adding a Marvin Jones Jr. at the edge to go with our Mason Thomas, who had 9.5 sacks last season, 6 of those in the SEC.
You still got Williams on the inside?
Still got Dominic Williams and Jaden Jackson, who was a freshman All-American. David Stone's back. He'll be right there rotating in a lot. Grayson Halton, who I think he finished with 4 sacks last year. He's considered a young up-and-coming riser. Our biggest thing is if Gentry Williams comes back good corner-wise, I think he would be... Our corners will be fine. Safety, you still got Robert Spears-Jennings, who was having a breakout season. The question is still linebacker because Kip's going to be there, but you got to figure out Kobe, McKenzie, Samuel Masigo. Who's going to be the next Danny Stutzman, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And then Peyton Bowen's the 5-star that's replacing Billy Bowman. I talked to him when I went to our spring deal, the Crimson Combine, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been dealing with turf toe for the last year and a half, and I got it fixed." And he said, I feel 10 times better than I did all last year. if his athleticism shows, he should be a step up from Billy because he's bigger, he's faster. He doesn't play with the angst and smelling salt. Somebody said that about Billy Bowman, which I loved. He's like God made him with angst and smelling salts. And when you watch the way he run around with his hair on fire, kind of plays that way. So for those talking about that is if the offense can move up, the defense will be elevated automatically. Perfect example, like you all. Y'all's defense was really good last year. Really good.
Yeah. Top 3.
What helped y'all propel even higher? Defense didn't have to do as much work. Offense did everything for you. The offense was able to keep the defense fresh and destroy people. The offense keeping the chains going, it's important. It's always, though, the bigger thing is offense at the end. Like Bryson asked this question about,
Thank you for another super chat, Bryson.
Yeah, thank you, Bryson. Appreciate that. No, I don't. The biggest thing is PK is a good defensive coordinator. But having a competent offense, a good offense, that just makes life easier on your defense. Like, we're not in the era anymore of Georgia's where your defense will do everything and win you. And then your quarterback just kind of just willy-nilly because the defense is going to.
Well, let me jump in there. There's too many games. Yeah. There's too many. We're playing too much football, and this is probably. I mean, we're coming up on this. I know where I stand on it, but we need to be playing 9 conference games, not 8. Right now, we're playing 8, and eventually, I think we will get to the 9 conference games. But you're playing Michigan non-con. We're playing Ohio State non-con. You have a playoff slate. If you get to the playoffs, we played 16 football games last year. 16. You're gonna, and if let's say 4 or 5 of those games are, when I say a war, I'm saying like Texas, Georgia, Texas. So like when you're playing another person that is just as physically talented as you are, you're gonna lose people. Every year we play each other, somebody
goes down.
Somebody goes down. So you can't. I mean, it's back in the day. Pre-NIL, let's say, those Georgia, like that way, the way, or early NIL, pre-NIL, Bama under Saban, bro, they were so stocked defensively, and they were playing in a league with quarterback play that wasn't the greatest, on top of offensive schemes that weren't the most nuanced. The SEC, a lot of people were playing the same type of offensive style or mechanism. Nowadays, we're playing, depending on who you play, you could play a completely different offensive scheme week to week to week. Ole Miss is going to be completely different from Vanderbilt and their triple option BS. Like, which means I have completely different personnel on the field, completely different game. Like, we might be a nickel 90% of the time all of a sudden. It just depends. So, you can't be built that way anymore in 2025. I think football's evolved beyond that.
I agree with you there 100%. And we'll have to talk nine games. I think that'd be a fun conversation later on. But for Oklahoma, the reason why everybody's saying that the team should be even better. And Bryson, it's funny. It's the complementary football point. That is always my preach on anything you've ever seen me talk ball. That's the thing I always preach about a team being successful is you got to have complementary football. Gentry, we lost him the second game of the season when he fell on the shoulder that he hurt. He had to have cleanup surgery on after the 23 season. He fell on that exact same shoulder. Then he was done for the year. They had to go back in and clean something up. Something was wrong. They missed something when they did the initial surgery. They had to fix that. Eli was a freshman All-American, so we're solid on that one. So you've got your 2 corners. And then Kendall Doby snapped his ankle against Tennessee. And that nickel / cheetah / everywhere he goes, that was a huge loss. I think that's when we really started to see things kind of go downhill because losing 6 wide receivers, that hurts, especially with a freshman quarterback. You can't do that. Then you lose 5 offensive linemen throughout the year and have to play a bunch of freshmen. You're screwed because we had a lot of veterans transfer out because why? New era college football. Basically, they're like, sorry, dog, you probably not going to play.
Right.
They're like, it depends. You may get in for injury reserve, but you might not play. All those dudes from the Riley regime bounced, and guess what? Half of them didn't play at any of the schools they went to. So you're kind of like, play all the freshmen that we got that we really liked. Well, this year, the other good thing for Oklahoma is we really liked our young players and we want them to develop. A lot of them got the experience they needed. Alabama game was the game where you started to see everything start to click for a lot of the young boys on the offensive line. They pushed around some massive Alabama kids. It clicked. But then a couple people got hurt at the end of the game, and you saw that against LSU. So you go in there with more young people, and he's like, dang, man, we was right there.
Yeah.
So complementary football should grant this defense to stay at the exact same spot or maybe edge them better. That's where Jaden Ott and John Mateer comes to play.
So on that point, right, I look at it from a Texas standpoint is I still think as long as Brent Venables is there I'm always going to think that OU's defense, especially starting, when we play you guys and just in general, will be formidable as always.
Yeah,
the thing
it's a chess match
like,
between those two.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing, what I look at with Sark this year, though, is the evolution that we need to have offensively. Looking back, while we were a good offense and we had a lot of players, a lot of players get drafted in the NFL draft this past year. We put up 33 points per game, which was okay, but not great for Sark. When we started digging in the numbers, we're in the 60s in rushing, we're in the 20s, 30s in passing. Like, what exactly was Texas doing where we could hang our hat, where we could say we were elite offensively outside of just talent, right? Like actual on the field, what were we good at? What could we hang our hat on? And looking back, there's not much I could say other than just moving the ball between the 20s consistently. I felt like we weren't like a 3 and out offense, but we weren't that. And we had a lot of explosive 20-plus yard plays, but not a lot of those plays resulted in touchdowns. So now, and I'm going to kind of start the quarterback conversation, like Arch coming in, taking over for us. His downfield accuracy, one of the things we did see with Arch in the Mississippi State game and the other game that he started was, his propensity Monroe was, he's going to be more of a shot taker. He's going to be a guy that, naturally can progress deep to intermediate to short, which is more of what Sark prefers. And are we going to be more play action oriented because of his movement skills on bootlegs, things of that sort that Quinn kind of struggled with and wasn't the greatest athlete. So we do feel like we're going to be a more explosive version of ourselves this year, just with some of those changes there. And I'm curious to see the chess match, right? Because you guys went and made your changes. But when you look at Texas, I'm curious to get your opinion on what you see from our offense. Arch and just what you see from the offensive outlook under Steve Sarkisian here in year 5 now of Sark.
Year 5, dog. Did you ever think you'd say that?
Hey, man.
Keep it a buck. Like, be real. Be real. Did you really think you'd be able to say
after the second year, absolutely. But after that first year, when we went 5 and 7, and it was just, one step forward, 3 steps back, and we were blowing leads. Like we were blowing leads crazy. Like you guys, right? The Caleb Williams game. We were an offensive juggernaut in that first half, right? Like we were having games where we were putting up 35 points in the first half, like it was nothing with Casey Thompson. So I just, that first year was more, it was like, is he going to be able to flip the culture? Honestly, I never doubted him from an X and O standpoint. It was more about, is he going to be able to flip the culture and get things going with the boosters and the organization? And we have a real football culture now. Like he's been able to accomplish that, right? Like everybody in our football organization through NIL, Texas One Fund, through administration, top to bottom from athletic director on down, we're reading from the same sheet of music. And I do credit Sark a lot of that from his organizational building and just getting guys to buy in, but also telling people, the Bo Davis, Iowa State moment was the nexus point in Texas football history. That
Yep.
was the moment where it was like, get the fuck off the bus. And if you're on the bus, shut the fuck up. All right. It was one or two. We either go one or two ways. That was the nexus point. That
Yep.
Iowa State game, enough is enough.
Yep. Decisions need to be made. Fix this
The
ish.
best thing that happened was them leaking that shit. All right. Because it was like, this is it. If you're here, you're here. If you're not, kick rocks, right?
Kick rocks.
We've been different ever since then. But I'm curious to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think I had my questions about Sark only because I went back off his history. History typically repeats itself, which is the thing that sucks in a lot of situations. A lot, and just like Bevo guy, majority of you all, like the rest of us, was skeptical. We didn't know. He had already had 2 pretty darn good jobs and fumbled the bag.
I wouldn't say he fumbled the bag at Washington. He fumbled the bag at USC.
I don't know.
Because Washington,
he did fumble the bag at USC. I think he fumbled the bag at Washington by leaving for USC. Granted, you leave Washington for USC. But Washington could have been a place where he could have grown. I mean, heck, we just saw DeBoer go up there and do something big. He could have done that. He could have easily made put Washington right back on the map. But I don't know.
At that time, USC was the job, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
And Pete Carroll.
You don't pass on it. You don't pass on post Pete Carroll. You don't.
Yeah.
And Sark was a part of that staff at one point. So, yeah, he knows the air. He knows that was his dream job. So, yeah, totally get that. So there was that. That's where most of the skepticism came in after those 2 runs. Now Saban helped him get more stable, do what he's doing now, and boom, we're here. The only question I ask, and you've said this yourself before, we talk real ball here. We don't throw jabs at each other just for the fun of talking smack as fans. We actually really talk ball, which is one thing I always appreciate about you. 20-20, y'all was killing it. Inside the 20, that is the same Sark I remember seeing at USC and Washington.
And we had a bad kicker.
He gets better there. And Alabama.
And we had a bad kicker.
And a bad kicker. Yeah, that's the bad part. And we learned that too. And that was one reason why we went to Portal and got us one, because we realized in the SEC, you're going to have so many games it's going to come down to 40-yard field goals, because the talent level is a lot more even. Even though the better team always wins, typically, you're good. The road, the canvas is still pretty even. You got to make those 40-yarders. If you ain't making 40-yarders, you're screwed. Do you see you all getting better inside those 20s with Sark?
Well, I mean, if we were able to make those, we'd be the reigning SEC champions as we're speaking right now. That's how close that was.
Right.
So, but with that being said, this is the time, because now we're seeing Sark with really the perfect ball of clay that is Arch as his quarterback. No more excuses, right? Like, we got eliminated last year because of the red zone. Just at the end, when it was moment of truth, we're at the 1-yard line, and we've been talking about this on multiple lives, but it's important in terms of the fate of our program. You guys know y'all had the stop against us a couple years ago in Dallas, right. and so these things have continued to be problems, not even just inside the 20, but literally inside the 5-yard line, right? And like all of those things. Quinn was never going to be a guy that would, you're going to assign a guy to spy the quarterback, that type of thing. Georgia weirdly did it, but for different reasons. But for the most part, you're not thinking quarterback run with us. So we were always kind of either going to some sort of package, right? Or some sort of, and then on top of that, you're also limited on boot and things of that sort. The thing is, what is Sark willing to adapt to? Is he willing to adapt to being more open-minded about running his quarterback in those situations? Mm-hmm. Is he more open-minded about getting out of some of the condensed sets? One of the things that you guys were really, really prepared for was we weren't going to – when y'all had Dylan Gabriel, what did y'all do when y'all got down there and you couldn't punch it in a couple times? You spread everybody out.
Yep.
and
Made everybody
then
move. Yeah.
everybody moved, and then you could either run it with a smaller box or throw it to somebody pretty run pass option type stuff, right?
Yep.
We love those condensed sets in the red zone, whether we're running or passing. And is he willing to with Arch in this new crew willing to open those things up? I think if he's able to do that, our red zone with the new kickers should be more, the proficiency should be there to where we should just be fine, right? Especially when you pair that with a defense that is still very, very good. It's just we can't be 111th in the country again in red zone, and we're still in the top 4 in the country of winning a national championship. Like, that's crazy. We were 111th in red zone. So, if he's able to get above average, I think we're fine.
Yeah, and I think you're cooking with that, and that's similar for Oklahoma. It's keeping the defense at similar level, if not a little bit better. I think the hiring of Wes Goodwin, who was basically BV's guy when he was running those defenses at Clemson. Wes couldn't do it himself, but that doesn't mean that he's not solid as like an assistant or helping with game planning, etc. Right? And then you bring in a young guy in Nate Drilling to handle one other portion of your defense. So both guys can kind of focus on what makes sense. Nate was a I think he was a D2 All-American when he played linebacker. And so for him, it's going to be more so inside linebackers, and then you'll have Wes covering your outside and your cheetahs. So that's going to help with BV as he's calling plays. He'll have guys to really handle even the position that BV typically would coach. But you're exactly right. And like I said, similarly for Oklahoma, you can't be 111th, 110th in offense and think you're going to be competitive. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't work not in the SEC. Even Georgia with Stetson Bennett the first year, they weren't 100. They were top. I think they finished top 20 in offense because that run game was absurd. And then Stetson got comfortable. Next year, Stetson was like, "Shoot, you see this defense?
No, next year,
fling this thing everywhere."
Yeah, he was tossing that rock around. And they also they had Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. Like looking back at it, like we're like, damn, y'all had 2,000-yard NFL receivers rookie season on that you were throwing to, and George Pickens came back. Bruh, like they were low key loaded offensive.
Loaded. Like, it was the perfect situation for a quarterback that's a walk-on. That all he needs was a little bit of confidence. Because for him, it really was just throwing the ball wherever he needed to throw it, and boom, a touchdown was going to happen, or they were going to make something happen. But for
Todd Monken, too. Todd Monken was eating. Todd Monken, he was in his bag, bro.
He was in his bag. He was in his bag, and it's funny watching him coach Lamar right now because it feels so weird. But hey, if Baltimore gets out of their fumbling problems or turnover problems in clutch games, they could be a problem for people long term. But anyway, I say that because, and that's why I asked that question. I see some of the trolls here in the, why are you worried about Texas? You be worried about. We're here to talk ball, guys. What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing?
Hey,
what are we doing here?
Hey, it's SEC Check-In. Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to all our channels. Fanatic Perspective, Unfair Sports, Locked On Sooners, SC Connect, Bleacher Report.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Make sure you
subscribe. We're talking ball.
Yeah.
We're talking ball. But anyway, but no, for the key thing for like y'all, for us, the most critical thing we're gonna do is we have to just have a better offense. And truth be told, Jaden Ott is as healthy as they say he is after last season's injury played. He had 2,500 yards rushing. And that was back when we were raving.
Before we get to Jaden Ott, because that was a big-time clutch pickup. We've gone too long without talking about John Mateer, okay, who comes connected with Bernard Buckle. But where I'm going with this is I feel like, because me recently, I've been on defense mode with my boy Arch. For some reason, people feel as though, they got all these questions and all this type of stuff. Now, when last year, some of the same people were saying, why isn't Arch playing? I don't understand the talking out of both sides of your mouth. It's either, But there's a lot of that. And that's normal college football banter, by the way.
Supposed to be. Yeah.
That's how it is. I am noticing, though, John Mateer, who is coming off a 40-plus touchdown season, all the numbers and yards he put up at Washington State with Ben Arbuckle, is getting the benefit of the doubt in a lot of these offseason lists. I've seen people saying as high as the second best quarterback in the country, potentially behind Cade Klubnik, above a Garrett Nussmeier, above Arch, above all these guys. Is he going to be like that day? When I say day one, we're talking about the Michigan game. Let's keep it a buck. Michigan game, is he going to roll out there throwing for 250, running for 70? Because I'm seeing like they have that little quarterback draw play that they love, him and where he just runs around all over the place.
He runs around
and he's very athletic, very fast, a lot of moxie. You could tell that he's got the white boy long hair, the juice. What is it? Because this energy was here about Jackson a year ago from many. I'm not saying from you, because we were on SEC Connect.
We did. We talked about it. We talked for real about it. Yeah.
But from the OU fan base, I was hearing the same energy about. Now Jackson was inexperienced, and John Mateer does have experience. But I guess my question is, the SEC is a much different animal from, the patchwork schedule that they had to play last year. That's not his fault, but that's essentially what he had to play. What say you when it comes to the hype around John Mateer?
So first, let me address the going into next season piece. For those that have appreciated, Ashley, good luck. Appreciate that. For those that listened to me and heard everything I've ever said, when I talked about the concerns I had about Oklahoma going into this season, I had concerns around a young quarterback with a young line. The thing that would be his saving grace, and we actually just talked about this with Georgia, saving grace would be a whole bunch of experienced wide receivers and experienced running back room. That will help the quarterback to stay calm. He didn't get any of that. The line got hurt. His wide receivers got hurt. Ain't nobody playing football that way. For Mateer, I get everybody's quote-unquote skepticism. He did put up 44 touchdowns last year. 3,000 yards passing, 800 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm. Against D1 competition.
Against D1 competition. Could be patchwork schedule. Totally understand it. He also he was underneath Cam Ward, who did similar things at Washington State. Remember, Arbuckle was his OC at Washington State, and Mateer was behind him. This would be his third year in the system. What helps Oklahoma this year, and I would say this about any team, when I evaluate what the talent can and can't do and what's possible, he'll have better talent around him here at Oklahoma. He's also, even though they're coming in with a new system, he knows it, so he can teach it. That was the benefit of having a Dylan Gabriel year 1 and 2 here when BV got here with Jeff Lebby. He knew the system. Nobody else knew it. Problem was year 1, nobody on defense knew a system, and nobody on offense knew the system. So it literally was everybody's figuring out at the same time type situation. And that's how it goes, especially when you're dealing with guys that put out pretty complex systems. Like Sark's first year, it was getting Quinn and them on board of understanding this is how you do it. This is what I want you to do. Do it this way, do that, do this. Same thing with PK, installing stuff on defense. Year 2, you're like, oh, that is what we were looking for. That's how that goes, right? So for Mateer, not to compare the two while at the same time pointing out, we saw Jaden Daniels was trash at Arizona State. Hell, they trashed his locker when he left there. Jaden Daniels. They trashed it. I remember seeing the videos. They're like this. Just trashing his locker. Like, dang, I really hate this kid. Then he goes out there.
Where are those brothers today?
Correct. They not saying nothing. They can't say a word. Can't say a word. But Jaden walked in a couple years in the Brian Kelly system and wins a Heisman. My point, If you can throw, and which we've seen Mateer throw, and you've got the talent around you, and you can go out there and execute, you're good. Biggest problem he had at Washington State is their defense wasn't very good. So there's a lot of times he was bailing them out. Kind of happens that way. And then at the same time, if your offense is on the field constantly, what do we all both know about an offense that's living on the field or getting off the field constantly is that a defense figures you out. They figure you out. They're going to start shutting down all that little cute stuff that you're doing. So Ben has to be more creative here, which I expect.
I hope that he can have a better marriage with BV on the defense. If I'm looking at this from your perspective, right? Because this is the thing I said from the very, very beginning, even with Jeff Levy initially, when you're running, and that's when he was running Variant Shoot at tempo, at crazy tempo. I'm like, hey, how's that going to work with the defense? Like, are they going to be cool with this if y'all stall, like, and they're back on, or if you score one play and we're right back on the field and people aren't getting rest? I mean, and at pace over a period of time, over weeks and weeks and weeks of doing this, how's that going to work? I hope that there's a better marriage with the offensive coordinator, because that's one thing that I know at Texas we do have a good grip on, which is why we've won a lot of football games.
Yep.
Sark and PK they have a good understanding of, where they're at with both and
what they need to do and how
what
to
they
make it
need
work.
to do.
Correct. Yes.
Protecting the other person, all those type of things, right? And so that's also the sign of progression and maturation of a head coach.
Yep.
Because I think Brett Venables' job is on the line in terms of needing to have a successful season to maintain being the head coach at OU. Now, what you define as a successful season, you got to tell me. But
Right.
I don't think he can have another 6 or 7 win season, even with this schedule and even being in the SEC second year. So you're really banking on Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer to cook immediately. Like, there's no
ifs, ands, or buts about it. No, you're 100% spot on with that. And for Oklahoma, it's going to be big on the success is really told if Mateer at least makes sure the team is fully competitive. The defense should be fine. We've already put together a good defense. We should be fine in that capacity. I'm not concerned about the defense. The offense is where I'm like, okay, can they give us an offense that can at least move the ball between the 20s on a consistent basis? Because complementary football is probably the most important thing. And so I'd say for BV, he's going to get his 5 years. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. He's getting his 5. They set that up specifically like that. That's the mindset of stability. So after this year, he'll be back next year. Unless the team only wins 3 games, which very much unlikely unless we just have nothing but injuries. We've got 4 built-in wins already. There's 4 built-in wins.
That is true.
Look at the schedule. There's 4 built-in wins. And keeping it a buck, Missouri shouldn't be a problem because they got a whole new quarterback set up.
Yeah, I mean, so let's go over the 4 built-in ones, right? You got Illinois State, Temple, Kent State, and you're counting Missouri as a built-in win?
I'm going to count Missouri as one of those. That's probably your 4.
Eli
I do
Drinkowitz
think
disrespect.
Yeah. Everybody hates that.
Especially on a team that beat you last year. That's crazy.
Because we screwed it up. That again, we fumbled the bag. Don't play. Don't play. We both done said
built-in win on Missouri. Shit.
Yeah. We hate they kind.
Get over there.
Hey, we hate they kind. Said something about you people.
All right. So
for
in this
that's
hypothetical,
key.
that's 4 wins, right? So
that's
in the
neat.
other 8 games, what's the record need to be in the other 8 games?
In the other 8 games, probably need to win like probably need to win 4 to 6. And that buys him even more time. And that's if Mateer goes out there and he just cooks. Which is always a possibility that he can. He knows the system. He has the ability. He just got to go out there and do it. And if he goes out there and do it, then there's a good chance.
That puts you in the window of 8-4 to 10-2, right? The high end of that, if he wins 6 out of those 8, you're talking playoffs.
Yep.
Essentially, right? I mean, whether or not you make it to the SEC championship game, you're talking playoffs because if you win 6 out of 8, you would have enough ranked wins. You would have beaten somebody good. You would have beaten a couple people good. So you're talking playoffs. If you're 8-4, that's the fine line here, though. If you're on the high end, obviously the playoff conversation's there. Things material worked, blah blah blah, right? 9-3, I think you can sell 9-3 to this fan base as long as the offense obviously improved. To me, I feel like y'all would have a civil war if you go 8-4. Here's why. Let me just state my point real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you go 8-4, there needs to be some context. Like either people got hurt again.
Yep.
Or hey, or we had really bad luck. Like our offense was good. Our offense clearly improved. We made the right hire OC. Maybe we just need another year to get more guys in here, another year with blah, blah, blah. But we lost a really close game at home to LSU, or we lost a nail biter at Bama, right? Like there's gonna need to be some context, right? Like you can't have the Missouri, the Daffy Duck type losses and getting blown out like you did against South Carolina. Like that cannot be a part of that cannot be a part of the 8-4, bro.
God, I hate your kind, you people. Because you're right. Because you're so right, bro. Like, I can't argue against anything you said because you're 100% right. You can't have Daffy Duck type losses like that, dog. Like that. Those are fireable offenses every flipping time they happen. They are. There's nothing you can, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is a fireable offense. Can't handle that. Not this year. Especially because you will have a better offense. You will have a better offense. Like there's no doubt about that. We finished 110th. You know, having true freshmen play quarterback usually get your tail kicked. We'll have that better. You just can't be full-fledged cheeks.
Can't.
In games that, I mean, hell, when you go look at it, you know how many points South Carolina scored against us if you take away the defensive touchdowns from just really bad quarterback play? 12.
What was it? I was going to say 14.
Close. Right. They got one touchdown and like a few field goals and something like a safety. We were just cheeks. We got to beat them down. Because why? We were giving the ball up 3 possessions in a row. Like, you can't do anything with that. Like, how? How do you win in a situation like that? So, for Oklahoma, if the offense is competent, it'll make the defense look better, and the defense will have a chance to win 6 more games. The offense can win you 3 more. That's what I see out of it.
Okay.
We got some work to do, though.
Got some work to do, man. And then before we get to the top 20, I want to bring this up that Josh Pate had, man.
Yeah.
Before we,
so many people mad. So many people so mad, dog. They so mad.
Biggest thing that you think is a concern if as an OU fan in terms of playing Texas, and then biggest thing that you think might be overrated on our side that we might be overlooking.
Biggest concern for me at Oklahoma, honestly, is the health of the secondary. If our secondary isn't healthy, we got 3 dudes that we're hoping is going to come back at what they were.
True.
Kendall Doby, Eli Bowen, who
And
sprained his
Dolby
ankle
had
in
a
spring, and then
significant
Gentry
injury.
Williams. Those three, and Doby's injuries was significant. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I saw him, talk to him, watch him go through drills, and he's like, "Yeah, I was cleared in March. I had been training since March. I'm beyond good. He's ready to go." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's exciting. I'm still terrified, my boy. I'm not gonna act like I'm not, because it's an injury. Injuries are scary especially when you tear ligaments in your ankle. That shit's horrifying. Every single one of us is afraid of one of our favorite players being hurt like that. So for us, it's does Doby come back healthy in that circumstance? We'll find out again very soon. That's what concerns me. For you all, honestly, we joke about it. Everybody, some people joke about it. Some people are overly serious about it. But the question has been, why didn't Arch overtake Quinn earlier? That is where my question has always been. Because Arch is obviously a better quarterback. Obviously. 100%. We can tell it. And we always see Quinn make those one bonehead plays. You're like, dog, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Like, what is this play? This was not what you're supposed to do. I've seen you lose your mind. Like, But Arch also is young, so you need to let him grow. I'm ready to see what he's going to look like going forward when he has to face the Ohio States, the Georgias of the world, etc. I expect him to be a good quarterback. If you've ever heard me talk about him, you've heard me on record say it numerous times. I think Arch is going to be a really good quarterback. Like, there's nothing about him that tells me he'll be a bad quarterback. He's going to be a good quarterback. The question is, how good? Will he be great? Will he be legendary?
Right. How
we
good?
know he's going to be good. Mm-hmm. I don't doubt. Zero doubt in my soul tells me that he will.
And like you said, with Mateer being with Ben Arbuckle for 3 years, Arch has now been with Sark for 3 years.
Exactly. Well. And that's the thing that's going to help him. How do y'all feel about y'all's offensive line, though?
Yep.
That's a couple of big boys. Big, important, critical ones. Then your interior defensive line, y'all went out and shopped. Then y'all bring in like 6?
We went crazy on the defensive line, bro.
Y'all went crazy.
I've never seen us go like this on the interior defensive line. Now we needed to.
You can tell that mean that PK said, "No, we need something else." Mm-hmm. Like, probably the defense goes, "Hey man, I don't know what you think you got here. You need something else." Because I was telling somebody the other day about this, and they were asking me about y'all and your defense and whatnot. I said, like, look, they got an elite player at each spot except for interior defensive line right now. You got Simmons, you got Hill, you got Taffy, you got Muhammad. I'm just pointing out one for each. Probably can go more. Defense should be fine as long as they get that interior shaped up. I mean, you picked up, was it Justice Terry? Surprised the true freshman wasn't ready, but at the same time, it's true freshman. True freshmen ain't always ready. It just ain't. You rarely find Dylan Stewarts.
It's a benefit to him because he's going to be on a rotation and he's going to be able at his weight, because his weight is still a little low, right? And so he's going to be able to play outside and in. Like, again, going back to who are we playing that week, right? What does the matchup say? But when I'm bringing in Watson from Syracuse, who was a freshman All-American as well, and LaVon Johnson and like all these the Maryland kid. I mean, that's before we even get to the Cole Brevards and the Shaws of the world. Now I got a whole plus my dude Alex January from Duncanville that played last year. It's like we've now moved to like, how are we going to get everybody snaps? Like, that's more of the conversation. But I got different types of guys now. I got a 1 tech, I got a 3 tech, I got a guy like Justice Terry that I can move all over. Like, I actually think it's going to be really fun. On top of Texas having the best edge room we've had. I mean, I don't know the last time we've had edges like this. So when you combine those two, it's going to be stupid. I mean, there's going to be some teams that we're going to make tap. If you have an inexperienced offensive line or you're not comfortable with your tackles, good luck. God bless you. I mean, just keeping it a buck.
Jesus wept in that situation.
Let me bring up the Josh Pate thing. because I do think it's an interesting conversation regarding the top 20 that he put out, where he had, I believe he had Clemson as his number one team.
He does have Clemson as number one.
Yeah.
They're bringing back the most talent. Like that, one of the tops in returning production in the country, which I get. And then of course their quarterback, who's been there 3 years now. We talked about that, and we're both proponents of that. If your QB's been with the OC for so many years, that kind of helps you out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just us both being realistic as far as fans, and that's the like I said, that's the big thing for Arch. It's been around, and so I'm still a proponent of this. I know I'm gonna say this. A lot of people gonna disagree, and I totally get everybody's disagreement with me on here, but I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Gosh darn it! You win the Natty, you should start the season number one. I don't care what you think is gone and not. This is college football. A lot of your teams at the top rarely lose enough where they're going to drop. Like, you get an occasional Michigan that populates out of nowhere and comes back. But it's a rarity that an Ohio State team's going to be cheeks. What are we doing here? And I'll say it to everybody. Well, I mean, you look at the players they have, but I don't care. They just won the Natty, guys. They still got Caleb Downs. Their quarterback's a second year in there. And saying that, we don't know him, but
a lot of hype.
A lot of
hype around Julian saying.
Just move Ohio State to number one. Because if anything, as you know me very well, I've said this. I hate preseason polls. Hate them.
You've talked about this for a while. When would you have the polls come out? After the first month, or what would you?
Yep, 4 weeks
after week 4. Yeah,
after week 4.
That's how I know I've done way too many shows with you. I know all your. I was like, I think he's a 4-week guy. Yeah,
we finish each other's sentences. Yeah. Like that's how this relationship has gone. But no, it's for me. It's because no matter what, people use wins at the beginning of the season versus a ranked team, even though that team falls out of the top 25 and falls into oblivion, as a check mark to say, well, they beat a team that was ranked. No one should get credit for beating Florida State last year. I don't care who you is. No one deserves credit for beating Florida State. Am I wrong?
No.
Thank you. Because see, that's something we can agree on. No.
Oh my goodness.
You cannot get credit for beating Florida State last year.
Who they play first week? They play Bama. Who they play?
Georgia Tech. They play Georgia Tech in Dublin.
No. I'm saying this, no. They did. I'm saying this year. This
year, Bama. I think it is Bama this year.
I think they open with Bama this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh God, let me go look at Bama's schedule. I've got all the SEC schedule.
While you do that, D Money can't get money. Thank you for the $5, brother. Got here late, but just as for support. Donations.
I thought it was a trash can.
Donations. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, they play Florida State week 1, and it's I guess it's neutral site, or is it at Doak?
Ooh, I don't know.
That's the only thing I don't know, is if it's at the crib or if it's
the game is a neutral site.
Huh.
But I don't know about the Florida State Alabama game.
Yeah, I don't know if. Yeah, I don't
Florida
think
State catches strays. Damn. Anyway, shout out to Seth Oliveris and his comment here, showing love, and shout out to Josh Pate. Thanks for putting this out. Our brethren on here. My thing is, what shocks me on this out of everything is Georgia at 11. Just seeing Georgia outside the top 10 is wild.
Yeah, and that's where that historical component comes in. Historically, Georgia always finds a way to be up there somewhere. What are we doing?
Yeah.
That is not. Neither one of us would argue and say that Georgia shouldn't be somewhere.
Vegas has them as a over-under, I think 9.5 wins still, which is the same as us.
What are we
So
doing? What are we
uh,
doing here?
I gotta go back. I know he did a little breakdown. I gotta go watch his breakdown of what he said about Georgia as to the rationale there. But
Yeah,
Georgia at 11, because I think the
he
schedule plays into that
has.
too.
Yeah, he has legitimate reasoning. Schedule. He talks about we're not sure about Gunnar Stockton. Is the defense going to be as
Just
good
the run game. I know he doesn't like the run game, but
at
like
all?
uh I just have to give Kirby Smart the benefit of the doubt out of respect. I mean,
Yeah,
he beat my football team twice last year, so
I
shit.
I am in the exact same boat. Like until you knock off the king, like Bama being at number 4 is fascinating to me because I know Ryan Grubb is coming in to run that, but I don't know nothing. I've seen Ty Simpson play one time. He played against
Right. Why
us.
are they getting the benefit of the doubt?
Correct.
They
I
have
mean,
run game problems too.
do you think the true freshman is going to be that good? Like, and I know everybody's just loving them some which he
LSU.
doesn't. He's not big on Auburn, which is kind of surprising. But everybody's loving what Hugh Freeze is doing over there. But I've seen Hugh Freeze's movies. I've seen them. I know what happens. I know the ending. There's no surprise to the ending of anything he does. That dude's gonna get fired. And it's more so because not only he's just a horrible person, but he makes some bonehead decisions. Like he puts his quarterbacks in the worst spots. Am I wrong?
All I'm gonna say to you is you better not lose to him and Jackson. Y'all better
At
go
home,
beat. Y'all better go
I know.
beat. Y'all. If you talking like this, that needs to be a BTA situation almost. Like
Oh,
just
it has to be. Like I've told numerous people, like there's nothing about that game that we have to go BTA. We ain't got a choice. Like we don't even get to choose. We don't get the option. It's BTA or bust.
you
Like there's
have
no
to go
value in even
BTA.
being on the field anymore if you don't BTA them.
Oh my goodness. That would be nasty. That
Yeah.
would I think that would be when the fan base, the noise on BV would be too almost
Oh, it'd be loud. It'd be loud.
it would be loud. It would be loud.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
that's one
early
team
in the
that's
season.
cheeks. No respect for them. You shouldn't lose that game.
He got no respect for Auburn and Missouri. Y'all gonna find out who Jay really hate. Auburn, Missouri, get out of here.
Right. See, I have respect for Sark, especially the stuff he did at Alabama when you saw the rehab. He was going through some life stuff and he figured it out. I appreciate that out of somebody. I appreciate someone going through the struggle, going through the fire, and coming back stronger. I have appreciation for that. After what Hugh Freeze did to that young lady, jumping in her DMs to defend a guy that did something pretty hideous to her, why would I ever defend a guy like that? Can't do it. Hugh Nova jumped in. He probably be in my DMs after the show.
Pull up, Hugh.
He's infamous for it.
Pull up, Hugh.
That is his thing.
Damn. Quentin. Yeah. Quentin with his honorary comment around Laurel Sarkeesian. Just every week. Doesn't
Every
miss.
Week.
That
Every
boy
week
don't miss.
Every week, Q pulling up.
Q pulling up.
Same old.
I'm leaving with something.
I'm leaving with something. I see you, Denzel. You a fool, Denzel. Just so you know that.
I'm leaving with something.
Oh, I'm leaving with something. Shoot.
Let's see who else on here we want to talk about. A&M at 14 is healthy.
I think that is a healthy spot for them. And I actually think it's an extremely fair spot for A&M. I think it is a very fair spot.
I need to look at their schedule closer before I give them.
Yeah, so looking at their schedule, I went to when the SEC dropped them, I bookmarked each one and put them in a folder so I didn't forget where they were at. Honestly, The Notre Dame game is going to be, to me, the test for A&M and see what their quarterback play is going to look like.
I'm not expecting them to win that game though. They play at Notre Dame, right? It's a home because
Yeah,
it's a
who's
home and
Notre
home.
Dame's quarterback?
They got that pocket passing guy named
C.J. Carr. He's a recruit. They did not get a transfer in this year for the first
Yeah.
time
I
in
think they're going to
14
start
years.
that kid that came in the game. Um, who was it when they were playing Penn State when Crash Dummy kept getting concussions? Riley Leonard. Um,
He really is a crash dummy, ain't he?
they were
He
using him like
really
a Crash
is,
Dummy.
ain't he? Like
Um,
we love him, but dang, he really is a crash dummy, ain't he?
I don't know. I think Notre Dame's defense is going to be nasty, though.
Yeah, I do. I do think
That defense is going to be nasty.
they'll be a very defensive centric team.
Yeah. And
Do you really believe though
they still got the
that
running back, too.
they do, don't they?
Hmm.
Ooh, buddy. Good
And
Lord.
he's not going to be wearing a knee brace this time. But buddy was standing on business in the playoffs. That running back.
He really
Um,
was.
so hey, but I'm not. I don't. I'm not even expecting them to. I'm not saying they're not going to be competitive in that game. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think that they're going to win the football game.
And
But
it's not unfair
that's only.
whatsoever.
But that loss doesn't really do any. That's not going to hurt them. I don't think. Like
Really?
if you lose on the road to Notre Dame to a team that was in the national championship game a year ago, like in the first game, I don't think that kills. I think there's only upside for A&M in that game. I don't think that there's. I don't think that there's a there like last year, right? Like they came out of that. They lost at home by 10. And going into the last month of the season, let us not forget were they not at the top of the SEC standings
They
before shit got
were.
really real quick for them?
Yeah. You're I mean,
I mean,
you're right.
did that
You're not
Notre
even
Dame
out of
loss
pocket.
matter at that point? Like,
Right. You're
no.
not even out of pocket on that. You're right. That is an extremely fair assessment and fair
I think
statement.
it's only upside for them, honestly. So, I mean, these teams are interesting. I mean, Miami, Carson Beck coming in, I feel like they think that he's gonna. They're. I think Miami might be overrated. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Really?
I think Miami might be overrated. I
You
think
not a
they're
bet guy, huh?
too much bad. I mean, unless the chaotic energy with the Lambo getting stolen and him,
And the Cavender
and the
twins.
twins and all that type of stuff. And I mean, they did lose some guys, right? Like they didn't. It's not like I mean, the dudes that came in there with Cam Ward, that were pretty good. Now, one thing you always have with their coach is offensive line play is always going to be on point. That's one thing he does know how to do.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's anything, Mario's gonna have you. He's gonna have your offensive line.
But with Mario Cristobal, I just question the game management. Are they going to smoke a game? Just like I knew in my spirit they're going to smoke the Syracuse game when everything was just right there for them to make the playoffs. Like they missed. Think about it this way, Jay. They missed the playoffs with the number one pick, Cam Ward. They missed the playoffs.
They really did. Like, how do you
I mean, come on, bruh. Looking back at that team, the
shore up your
defense is going to be
defense?
better this year on Miami because I think both their defensive ends are going to be NFL draft picks high. And they got talent. Like I'm not questioning the talent on Miami. So if somebody pulls up on me and be like, "Yo, what about XYZ? Look how many people we got in the 2026 mock draft, bro." I'm not questioning that.
There's
But y'all
NFL
didn't
talent
make the
there.
playoffs with Cam Ward. Jesus Christ! Like, come on.
Cam Ward. No Cam Ward. That is a very, very valid.
I have my
I didn't think about
questions.
that way.
I have my questions with Miami. I think people are a little. I don't know.
So let me ask you this though: how you feel about Arizona State there without no scatterboo?
So the thing with Arizona State is they return like 16 or 17 starts, something crazy. Like
So yeah, it's a stupid number.
It's a stupid number of guys that are back. there's a lot of expectation and assumption that Sam Levitt is just going to offset the weight and become, obviously he had a great year, but he had a great year playing off of Cam Scatterboo, having all the attention on him from a game plan perspective. They're just making that assumption. You know what Arizona State reminds me of? Because
What?
I think they're overrated too. They remind me of Iowa State that last year with Brock Purdy when they returned 96% of their people. And everyone thought
Ooh.
that Iowa State was like the sure thing, surefire Big 12 favorite. That last year with Brock Purdy, where like everybody came back. They had like I think it was like 96% of their returning starters on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was a disaster, like coming off the Fiesta Bowl, and it was a disaster. I'm not saying it's going to be a disaster for Arizona State. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that the Big 12 is so, Jalen Tyson's coming back too, or Jordan Tyson's coming back too.
That's true.
But I have questions when it comes to all these teams in the Big 12 that are at the same level. Like Iowa State, I know they beat the crap out of Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game, but that was just a game that like got away from them. Are they that much better than Iowa State? Are they that much better than even a Texas Tech? Right? Like all these teams, I just feel like there's like 5 Big 12 teams that are like very, very similar to each other. And I don't necessarily have Arizona State just above and beyond the others. But, maybe that's just me.
No, I think I see exactly what you're saying. Like you're not wrong. For me, I don't. I'm trying. As
BYU is another
mentioned,
one too.
who?
BYU is going to be good.
Yeah, BYU should be good. They brought back a lot. For Arizona State, it's everyone's the highness on Sam Levitt, who I feel like Scatterboo was doing most of the work for him. I don't know.
I feel like he
Scatterboo
was
was
their
a problem,
culture too. He was
huh?
like their culture in a way too. Like
He
he
really
got them
was
going.
hard nose.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I got to catch up with my friend Richie from Locked On Sun Devils, and because maybe I'm being unfair. Because I know what he's gonna say. He's gonna say, "Dude, we're bringing everybody back. We were in the Peach Bowl last year. What are you talking about?"
you're
Like,
bringing everybody but Cam Scatterboo. That to me that to me is more critical than anything. Like, no, am I wrong?
no,
Like,
no.
let me go pull up. I'm pulling up Bill Conley's initial 2025 SP Plus and returning production. So, returning production here for them. Let's see. What's the returning production we have here for nope, that's not what I'm looking for. I want the returning production paperwork. There it is. The next link. He always has it in a separate link for
Daryl
some
G.
dumb
While you're
reason.
pulling that up, people still said Mario. They still have Mario Cristobal.
Fair point. He's not going to call the timeout. Yeah. So ranking wise, Jesus Christ, they're bringing back. They're number 2 right behind Clemson. Clemson's number 1 in returning offense and number 7 in returning defense, which I get why they're so high. A&M returning number 19 in offense, number 12 in defense. They're returning 71% overall, which is pretty high. We're returning offense wise, we were 6th in the country, 78%, 46th in defense. So that we're 10th in the country on that. Vanderbilt's high too. We'll see if Diego Pavia can do something with that. But no, on the Arizona State though, yes, they're bringing back a lot, like vast majority of what they have. But I still ask the question, Steven. Like Cam Scatterboo was like was their culture. Like he was their ethos. He was the toughness that team was. Oh, that's a good question. Just popped up in the super chat.
Thanks for the super chat, Alessandro Franco. Appreciate it. Donations. Would y'all trade a
Donations.
loss to your team's rival 5 years in a row for a championship? I think we've already seen the answer to that question. Just go ask an Ohio State fan, right?
Right. That's 4 losses.
Like,
We're almost on their 5th. And I'm going to be honest.
Isn't that the Ohio State situation?
It's exactly what it is. And I think they actually lose again to Michigan this year. Because they're at the big house. Dog, they've lost to them 4 times in a row.
They haven't beaten them since before COVID.
But they got a natty. Both of them do.
They got a natty. So y'all tell me.
I think
literally
everyone.
like, Quentin, it's literally thank you for the super chat, Franco. This is literally Ohio State, Michigan. They got it.
Literally. And I think, just like Post just said, I think it's gonna be 5 this year. And they still gonna make a deep run in the playoffs. But Arizona State's bringing back 16 starters, dog. 7 on offense, 9 on defense. Clemson's bringing back 16 starters, 8 on offense, 8 on defense, which I get why they're up there. A&M's bringing back 7 on offense, 8 on defense. A lot of critical spots. 4 offensive linemen, quarterback. Actually, their entire offensive line plus their QB and their running back. Jesus Christ. They still have no wide receivers, which we've all learned that wide receivers you can replace easily. I think everybody would have called you Cray. Actually, we still call you Cray, my boy. That's why we love you, because you're crazy. But yeah, I would call everybody crazy for thinking that Michigan was going to beat Ohio State, because Ohio State was owning them for so long. But, bro, yeah. Alabama's bringing back 14 starters, and they're all 3 offensive linemen and 2 wide receivers. I don't think that counts.
I'm going to say this, though. I'll take the natty, bro.
I think we both would in a heartbeat.
I'm taking the natty, bro. I've won 1 in my lifetime as a Texas fan, right? And that feeling. See, the thing is a lot of people are going to ask that question that have either never experienced that feeling before or was like that feeling that night when we won and beat USC. Now, a lot of it was too because of who we were playing and the what was on the line then, but like winning a national championship, like when you know your team is that good and they get it done on that level, it's different. And both of us, your team, y'all last won in 2000, we last won in 2005. It's been a minute, right? For
y'all are at 20 years, we're at 25. Yes, right. We're both feeling it.
We're both at 2 decades now, right? So I want the natty. I'm sorry. Like, I've gotten everything else. I've watched this past year, we beat all of our rivals.
Yep. You got what you wanted.
But we didn't win the national championship, right? Like, I would switch spots with Ohio State if I had to suffer because that Michigan loss, low-key, got them ready, they made hardcore, changes. They made wholesale changes to the whole offense after the Michigan loss. And they made
wholesale changes. Defense, I love that.
God bless Tennessee's defense. They had no chance because what is this count? They didn't run counter all year, bro. Like, they had no way to get ready for that. Not
there one time, dog.
Not there one time did they run counter. They made wholesale change. They ran a whole new offense because Michigan exposed them. So it's like y'all are actually responsible for us having our breakthrough to win the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
very fair point.
But that feeling when you've won a national championship, I'm sorry. Like, Ryan Day, because everybody was always questioning, can Ryan Day get it done? That was the only thing on his resume. Winning percentages in the history of football as a head coach.
Yep. That's all we cared about is, can he do it? And he finally did it. And now everybody's leaving him alone, for the most part. For the most part. We're not going to act like y'all actually give a bleep about that man. Nobody do. Let's be real here.
Man.
But yeah, that's... Whew.
Man. That's, all right, well, we'll take the last couple of minutes just to to wrap up because it's all about breakthroughs and whatnot. Is there any team that is not here listed that you would have in this top 20 of that Mr. Pate has put together? Shout out to Josh Pate.
Shout out to Josh Pate on that, man. I can't wait for us to get back going, not only SEC Connect, but Bleacher. It's going to be a very fun season this year. I think he really kind of hit the nail on the head with these because even when I look through some of these other teams, I don't see a single team that I think should be up there because everyone that should be there, I feel like is there. Like, it's funny because BYU needs to be up there because I don't think they're not on here. BYU should be higher.
BYU is not on here.
They deserve to be higher. I think they're bringing back enough to be a challenge. It's funny to me that like we all forgot that Indiana even exists.
And they're going to be good this year. They have a harder schedule. They do have a harder schedule, but they're going to be. I like them getting Mendoza, dude.
Oh, that was a great pickup.
Quarterback. That was a
great pickup.
I think Indiana's going to be good. Pickup. And I think that guy's a real coach, man. Kirk Signetti.
I think Sig really is.
Yeah.
I don't know about Ole Miss is being posted. I don't know.
Ole Miss is up here. Ole Miss is at 16. H post. Ole Miss is.
They are. There you go. They are up there.
The thing is, Ole Miss doesn't play anybody like the first 4 or 5 games, so they're going to be able to get Austin Simmons really,
warmed up.
Yeah.
He'll get warmed up. I do like where they put South Carolina because I think that Lenore Sellers is going to be fun to watch, but do we really think Lenore Sellers is that great yet? Have we seen anything in his game to make us feel like
we got to see the consistency with him as a passer? He's
dynamic.
He is. I think he's got some like scary, like he can win a game on his own type stuff.
Yeah.
I watched him beat Clemson at the end of the game. He wasn't even having a good game in that Clemson game. And the end, he just decided the game was over himself.
Yeah, he's like, screw it, give it to me. Hey, fellas, get on my back. I got this.
like he beat that Clemson team almost by himself. So that's interesting.
He really did.
But the consistency has to be there for him offensively for sure. One team that is not on here that I will make the case for.
Okay.
Is Billy Napier's Florida Gators. I know the schedule.
Ooh, wait, they're not. No, Florida's on here. They're number 9.
My bad. My bad. Okay, so
yeah, because see, I would have said Florida as well,
bad.
But yeah, no, he's got them on here.
Missed them. My bad. That's my bad. My bad. All right.
They're on there. Somebody asked D Money, Can't Get Money, asked what we think about Lagway. I like Lagway a lot. I need to see his consistency too. But I do think that he's shown us more than what Sellers has shown us. To me. I can definitely, it may just be my eye on it. I think I've seen more out of Lagway than I've seen out of Sellers so far. And it's nothing against either one. And I mean, and so far he is yeah, y'all are even now. Lagway, he's back now. His dad said he's back. So we have to see a healthy version of him. But I think that Lagway has a higher upside. And I feel like he showed us that this past season. But that doesn't mean he's going to end up being better than what Sellers was. Sellers has a really good chance of being something stupid.
We got to continue this conversation on SEC Connect for sure.
We're going to have to break down each one. We can go through each schedule. This summer is going to be fun. We can really get to it. Post SEC Media Days, we're going to get it.
Jay, where can the people find you, brother?
You know where to find your boy. Just search for me on YouTube, Unfair Sports. I talk OU football, SEC, college football in general. Going to expand that heavily. I'm also part of Locked On Sooners on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, which has been a blast of really getting myself ingrained. I'll be at SEC Media Days. So yeah, search for your boy. We're going to try to make something happen, man. We're going to get everybody up there. Also, Bleacher Report with my boy Steven and SEC Connect. Just go find us. We're going to grow it. We're going to make it happen.
Let's get it, man. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Another episode. Wonderful guest today. Talked a little ball. Red River check in, like we said. Make sure you subscribe to all platforms,
Yep.
especially here. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by August 30th. Texas, Ohio State, and Columbus. Appreciate everybody that continues to support the channel and whatnot. And yeah, have a great night, everybody. We will be back on Friday. Friday is the next show. So be able to tune in. Jay, thanks again. Folks out there,
Appreciate you having
remember
me, boss.
horns always up. Absolutely.